How much of your life would you trade before you realize you've been living as a slave? That's the reality for millions of men today. Not chained in prisons, not trapped in war zones, but locked inside lives they never chose, bleeding out every single day while pretending it's normal. Since childhood, you were told the same script. A real man provides. A real man sacrifices. A real man keeps giving until there's nothing left. But look around. Does that sacrifice buy you love? Or has it only bought you silence, complaints, and disrespect? They don't want you strong. They want you spent. Brother, you can feel it in your body. You're running on empty. You can't sleep. You can't breathe. But you smile anyway. Because that's what society expects. Pretend you're fine. Pretend this is manhood. Pretend slavery is love. But here's the truth. Real masculinity isn't sacrifice. It's sovereignty. It's not about how much of yourself you can give away. It's about how firmly you can stand without begging for validation. Yet everywhere you look, men wake up before dawn, grind themselves to dust, then come home only to hear, do more, give more, prove more. And the cruel joke? The moment you stumble, the moment you stop performing, you're not celebrated. You're replaced. You're not seen as a partner. You're not seen as a man with value in himself. You're seen as a utility, a body, a paycheck, a sponge to absorb someone else's demands until you collapse. If any of this feels uncomfortably familiar, it's because you know the system has been draining you for years. And the sickest part? You've been conditioned to call it love. This message isn't here to soothe you. It's here to slap you awake, to rip off the blindfold, to show you the truth that's been hiding in plain sight. Because until you face it, nothing changes. And if you don't change, this cycle will devour you alive. So listen carefully. Don't blink. Every word matters. Your freedom may depend on it. And if you're a man who refuses to live as a slave, if you're ready to reclaim your power, then hit follow right now. This isn't just a channel. It's a movement, a brotherhood, a fire. Every man who joins makes the voice louder, the message stronger, the change unstoppable. Don't just watch, be part of it. You want to know where the bleeding really begins? It doesn't start with heartbreak. It doesn't start with lies. It starts with your wallet. Not love, not trust, not even loyalty. The first wound bleeds from the dollar bills you break your back to earn. And for most men today, that money is not building a future. It's not securing your freedom. It's not fueling your dreams. It's being siphoned off day after day, year after year, into someone else's lifestyle. Think about it. You wake up before the sun. You grind your body into the ground, sometimes at a job you hate, sometimes at one that's killing you slowly. You trade hours you'll never get back. You swallow stress that keeps you awake at night. And at the end of it all, the money you bring home doesn't even stay with you. It evaporates. It vanishes into dinners you can't afford, vacations you don't even enjoy, and gifts you buy not out of love, but out of fear of what will happen if you don't. You call it love. Society calls it being a good man. But let's be brutally honest. What it really is slavery wrapped in romance. You're financing comfort at the expense of your own survival. You're running yourself into the ground so that someone else can post on Instagram about living her best life. And the cruel joke is, while she's showing off, you're breaking down. I've seen it over and over. Men in their 20s, 30s, 40s, clocking extra shifts, taking side hustles, pushing their bodies past the limit. And for what? So she can have her nails done every week. So she can show off a handbag you can't even spell. So she can brag about trips that left you in debt while you ate instant noodles back home to save money. You think I'm exaggerating? I'm not. Some of you are living this reality right now. And here's the most insidious part. She doesn't even frame it as selfish. No, she wraps it in language that makes you feel guilty if you resist. This is for our family. This is an investment in us. Don't you want me to be happy? And you cave every single time because you've been programmed since birth to believe your value as a man is measured by what you provide. The car, the dinner, the house, the constant sacrifices that leave you with nothing but the crumbs. But tell me this, when she says family, does she really mean your well-being? When she says investment in us, is she investing in your future or just padding her lifestyle? When she asks if you want her to be happy, when was the last time she sacrificed her happiness for yours? You can't answer, can you? Because the scales are never balanced. The sacrifice is always yours. The giving always flows in one direction. And while you're carrying the weight, you're crumbling. You don't notice at first. You tell yourself, this is just what men do. But little by little, the cracks spread. You wear the same shoes until they fall apart while she upgrades her closet every season. You skip lunch to save money while she throws cash on cocktails with her friends. You put your dreams on hold while she lives out hers on your dime. And by the time you realize what's happening, you're so deep in the cycle, you think it's impossible to escape. Brother, listen to me. This isn't generosity. This isn't partnership. This isn't love. This is extraction. This is a transaction disguised as devotion. And the longer you play the role of endless provider, the less she respects you. That's the irony. Your sacrifices don't make her love you more. They make her see you as a bottomless well to drain. Money was supposed to give you freedom. It was supposed to open doors, to build your future, to let you breathe. Instead, it's become your leash, a chain you forged with your own hands, link by link, every time you said yes to something that killed you a little inside. And if you keep walking this path, one day you'll look back and realize you traded your entire life for someone else's comfort and got nothing in return. If money is the first wound, time is the second. And in many ways, it cuts even deeper. Because at least with money, you can earn more. But time? Once it's gone forever. And right now, brother, you are bleeding time, just as fast as you're bleeding dollars. You think you're being a good man. You think you're showing love. But what you're actually doing is giving away the most valuable resource you'll ever have, your time. Your mornings start with text messages, calls, check-ins, not because you want to, but because you're afraid of what will happen if you don't. Every notification feels like a little leash. Every "where are you?" isn't care, it's control. And the worst part? You've been trained to think this is normal. When you finally come home after a long day of work, instead of recovering and doing something that feeds your soul, you keep performing. You take her to dinner at the place she picked. You sit through another show she likes. You spend time with her friends, even though you feel like a ghost in the room. You're still on the clock, just with a different boss. And the weekends, the only time that used to be yours, they're gone too. Swallowed by shopping trips, family visits, errands you never signed up for. Your schedule is booked solid, but none of it is for you. And slowly, without even noticing, you stop living your life. You start living hers. Remember your passions? The project you wanted to start? The skills you wanted to learn? The business idea you kept putting off? Where are they now? Probably buried under a pile of obligations. Every time you try to reclaim just a little bit of time for yourself, she hits you with guilt. Why are you always on your phone? Why don't you want to spend time with me anymore? And just like that, you fold. Again. I knew a guy once, a brilliant coder. He had an idea for a startup that could have changed everything. Every night, he sat down to work on it. And every night, the fights began. You care more about that computer than you care about me. You're obsessed. You're selfish. Eventually, he gave up, sold his gear, let the domain expire. 5 years later, someone else launched the exact same idea and made millions. He didn't just lose a project, he lost his shot. He lost himself. And the woman? She wasn't happier. She didn't appreciate the sacrifice. She didn't soften. She just kept complaining. Because when you give up your time without boundaries, you don't gain love. You create expectation. She doesn't respect the man who gives everything. She respects the man who values himself enough to say no. So here's the truth. You think you're keeping the relationship alive by giving up your time, but you're really killing your identity. Time is your blueprint, your leverage, your legacy. If you keep handing it away, you'll wake up one day in a life that doesn't even feel like yours. You'll have built someone else's world and abandoned your own in the process. If money bleeds you dry and time robs your future, then energy is the silent killer. Because even if you somehow keep earning, even if you carve out a little time for yourself, none of it matters if you're too drained to use it. And that's exactly where so many men are stuck right now. Not just broke, not just busy, but completely burnt out. Mentally, emotionally, spiritually. You know what I'm talking about. You wake up tired, even after a full night's sleep. You drag yourself through the day like a ghost wearing a man's body. And when you finally get home, it's not peace you feel. It's pressure. Pressure to smile, to talk, to be present, to show up emotionally, even when there's nothing left in the tank. And it's not your job that's killing you. It's not even the bills. It's the constant emotional labor of managing someone else's mood 24/7. You're walking on eggshells and don't even realize it anymore. Watching her tone, decoding her words, trying to read her silence. You've become a system constantly running background checks on her emotions just to avoid another meltdown. And here's the messed up part. You think this is normal. You think this is what love is supposed to feel like. But love isn't supposed to feel like surveillance. It's not supposed to feel like walking through a minefield, constantly second-guessing yourself, constantly shrinking to avoid conflict. And yet, this is the cage so many men are living in, quietly, numbly, exhausted. I've seen guys who can't focus at work because they're too distracted by a text she didn't respond to. Guys who spend the night replaying every word of a pointless argument, wondering what they did wrong. Guys who come home from their 9 to 5 already on empty, only to clock into another shift, predicting, preventing, absorbing someone else's chaos. And meanwhile, she's thriving, posting about her independent life on Instagram, while you're the one funding it, telling her friends how strong she is, while you're the one keeping everything together. Complaining about how men today aren't real men, while you're destroying yourself, trying to meet her expectations. She gets stronger as you get smaller, and your body feels it. When was the last time you hit the gym without feeling like it was a chore? When was the last time you cooked a real meal, ate without stress, or had a peaceful night's sleep? Your body's screaming, even if your mouth isn't. The weight gain, the fatigue, the hair thinning, the constant stress that's destroying your hormones. You look in the mirror and barely recognize the man staring back. The truth is, you didn't lose your edge. You gave it away. Slowly. Quietly. For love. For peace. For her. And that's the tragedy. You were once full of life, full of ambition. You had goals, drive, testosterone pumping through your veins. Now, you're just surviving, a shell of yourself, going through the motions and telling yourself this is what love looks like. But it's not. This isn't love. This is slow, steady self-destruction. This is emotional vampirism, where everything you have gets drained to feed someone else's comfort. And if you don't stop the bleeding, if you don't reclaim your energy, you're not just going to burn out. You're going to disappear. When your energy gets drained long enough, your health is the next thing to collapse. It doesn't hit you all at once. It creeps in, quiet, subtle, invisible at first. But it's there. Every single day you keep ignoring your own needs. Every time you sacrifice rest, nutrition, movement, peace, your body keeps the score. And one day, it sends the bill. You look in the mirror and don't even recognize yourself. The dark circles, the weight gain, the muscle loss, the constant fatigue. Your shoulders feel tight all the time. Your back hurts more than it should. Your hairline is receding faster than your patience. Your face looks older than your age. And no, it's not just getting older. That's the lie you tell yourself to stay comfortable. What you're really experiencing is neglect. Chronic, unrelenting neglect. You've stopped taking care of the machine. You've prioritized everyone else's comfort over your own basic well-being. You skip the gym because you're too drained from relationship obligations. You eat like crap because you're always rushing. You don't sleep because your mind is looping arguments, bills, and guilt. And the longer it goes on, the more damage you stack up. Your testosterone drops, your immune system weakens, your blood pressure rises, and your body starts waving red flags. But no one sees it because you're too used to hiding the pain. You push through. You tell yourself you're strong, but strength without self-preservation is just self-destruction in slow motion. I've seen it, man. Guys in their 40s looking like they're 60. Guys living on caffeine and painkillers just to get through the day. Guys who used to be warriors, fit, driven, alive, now reduced to shadows. Lifeless eyes, sore joints, prescriptions in their gym bag instead of dumbbells. They didn't lose their health because of work. They lost it because they gave everything to a relationship that only took. And while you're breaking down, guess what she's doing? She's thriving. She's getting compliments. She's posting glow-up photos while your soul is dimming. She's living her best life because your body paid the price for it. You gave up your health to keep her world spinning, and now yours is falling apart. And the most brutal part? Once your health fully collapses, none of your sacrifices will matter. You could rebuild money, you could rebuild time. But health? Once it's gone, really gone, it doesn't come back. No apology, no amount of "I appreciate you" will reverse chronic disease, hormonal crash, or years shaved off your life. You were never meant to crawl through life half dead. You were built to be sharp, strong, awake. But the more you ignore the signs, the faster the decline. And if you keep pushing, pretending, suppressing, your body will make the choice for you, in a hospital bed, or worse. Brother, this isn't about six-pack abs. This is about survival. This is about longevity. Because if you don't reclaim your health right now, you won't just lose your relationship. You'll lose yourself permanently. By the time your health begins to fail, something even deeper has already been under attack: your mind. Because beneath the lost money, the wasted time, the constant exhaustion, there's a darker, quieter war being fought. A war on your perception, on your instincts, on your ability to trust yourself. It doesn't start with fists or screams. It starts with guilt, with subtle comments that make you question your tone, your timing, your needs. You say no, and suddenly you're cold. You assert a boundary, and she cries. You ask for space, and now you're selfish. Every emotional reaction becomes a lever she pulls, and she's been pulling them for so long, you don't even realize they're not yours anymore. You're not thinking clearly. You're calculating, monitoring, editing yourself. You second-guess everything you say. You rehearse arguments in your head before they happen. You walk into a room already bracing for emotional turbulence. This isn't love. This is psychological warfare dressed up in pretty language. And here's the part that hurts most. You defend it. You tell your friends, she's just emotional. You tell yourself, this is just how relationships are. But deep down, your gut knows. It's been screaming for years. You've just gotten really good at ignoring it. I knew a man, a brilliant engineer with multiple patents, sharp, visionary, driven. But when he got with her, something changed. She started planting seeds. You care more about your work than me. Your ambition is just ego. You're never present. Slowly, she dismantled his drive piece by piece. He stopped building, stopped creating. He turned down job offers that could have changed his life because she didn't want him traveling too much. And she framed it all as love. But it wasn't love. It was control, dressed up as concern. And the worst part? He thought he was doing the right thing. He thought sacrifice was proof of commitment. He thought giving everything up made him a good man. But when you give up your mind, your decision-making, your voice, your truth, what's left? Nothing. And the more you bend, the more she breaks you. Because every test you fail, every moment you fold, every time you let guilt override your instincts, she loses respect. Not just for you, but for the man you used to be. That's the catch. Manipulation doesn't need to look like abuse. It just needs to feel like confusion. She keeps you chasing the highs from the honeymoon phase, the random praise, the rare affection. It's intermittent reinforcement, the same technique used in casinos and cults. She rewards you just enough to keep you hooked and punishes you just enough to make you scared to leave. You think this is love, but it's not. It's a rigged game, one where the rules always change and you always lose. So you need to ask yourself one brutal question. Are you in a relationship, or are you being conditioned? Are you choosing love, or are you being trained to submit? Because if your thoughts aren't your own anymore, then neither is your life. If manipulation is the private battlefield, then society is the war zone. Because what you're up against isn't just one woman, one relationship, or one bad experience. It's an entire system designed to bleed you out and call it honor. From the moment you're born, the rules are stacked against you. You're taught that your value as a man depends on what you can provide, how much you can endure, how willing you are to sacrifice everything for people who won't sacrifice back. You're told to be stoic, to be strong, to never complain. And when you finally break, no one catches you. No one thanks you. They just step over the wreckage and move on. Look around. Divorce courts strip men of their homes, their savings, and their children. Alimony, child support, legal fees. It's all designed to keep you locked into a system where you're guilty by default. You build something for years, and in the blink of an eye, it's gone. Not because you failed, but because you were disposable the second you stopped performing. And they dare to call this equality. They sell you lies like happy wife, happy life, as if your own happiness doesn't matter, as if the best you can hope for is to serve quietly and disappear gracefully. There's no happy husband, strong marriage. There's no cultural push to support you when you're down, because your role was never to thrive, it was to sustain. Society tells her she's a queen, that she deserves more, that settling is oppression, that she should do what makes her happy. Meanwhile, You're told to grind harder, to man up, to prove your love through labor. And if you fall behind, if you get tired, you're not enough. You're emotionally unavailable. You're holding her back. And the moment you stop being useful, she leaves. Society applauds her for being brave, for choosing herself. And you're forgotten. Just another man who gave his best years, his prime energy, his soul, only to be replaced. And that's the most brutal truth of all. You are not seen as a person. You are seen as a utility, a tool, a provider. And providers can be swapped out the moment they stop delivering. Not because you weren't loyal, not because you weren't loving, but because you were never seen as irreplaceable. But this isn't just about women. It's about a culture that rewards their selfishness and punishes your sacrifice. A culture that shames you for wanting boundaries, that mocks you for asking for help, that tells you to be strong, then disappears when you need support the most. This system was never built for your protection. It was built for your extraction, to use you up, to keep you silent, and to replace you when you're broken. And unless you wake up to that fact, you'll keep playing a game where the house always wins and the man always loses. If you've made it this far, and something inside you feels tight, raw, exposed, it's because you know this isn't just a story. It's your life. You've been bleeding, not just financially, not just through your schedule, but in ways no one sees. You've been losing yourself slowly, giving, serving, showing up for everyone but you. And they told you that was noble. They told you sacrifice made you a good man. But they never told you what happens when there's nothing left of you to give. You've paid the price in silence. You've called it love, called it duty, convinced yourself this was just how life works. But look around. Are you fulfilled? Are you respected? Are you building your life? Or are you financing someone else's fantasy while yours dies quietly in the background? You were raised to be useful, but never taught to be whole. You were trained to provide, but never taught to protect your peace. And now, you're exhausted, depleted, a shell of the man you were supposed to become. That ends now. You don't need permission to take your power back. You don't need validation to choose yourself. You don't owe the world an apology for saying, "This isn't working, this isn't love, this isn't what I was born for." Because you weren't born to crawl through life sacrificing your soul in exchange for someone else's comfort. You were built to lead, to create, to stand firm in who you are and what you need. So stop waiting. Stop negotiating your value. Stop bleeding for people who wouldn't even notice if you disappeared. Choose your peace. Choose your power. Choose the man you were always meant to be. The moment you do, the bleeding stops. And for the first time in a long time, you begin to live. So the choice is yours. Continue bleeding out your life force for someone who sees you as a resource. Or reclaim your life and build a future where you're valued for who you are, not just for what you provide. This is your wake-up call. Not tomorrow, not someday. Today, right now. Say it, believe it, live it. You are not a slave.